The deaths in Andor Season 2 so far have been so heartbreaking, but the next one's going to be even worse. Let's dive straight in. Hello my dear friends, welcome back to another video. So fans have noticed there is a pattern with Andor Season 2. At the end of every arc there is one major death. The show has to connect to Rogue One, and naturally that means a lot of characters who didn't appear in the movie are going to be killed off. Tony Gilroy already warned us there was going to be a lot of heartbreak. Not all of them, but a good portion of them. They might be off on different missions or doing something off-screen during the events of A New Hope. But so far in Season 2 we've had Vel and Cinta, and Star Wars fans are pretty divided on the way they handled the latter's death. I would argue Brasso's death was pretty predictable. It was tragic but poetic. And the fact he gave B2EMO a send-off was so heartbreaking, like one final goodbye. But with Cinta it was very sudden. She was able to spend one final night with her girlfriend, after a year apart, after Cinta was injured, presumably, while killing Colma. But then the next day when they were helping the Gorman front with their mission, she was accidentally killed. The shooter felt a lot of remorse, but obviously Vel felt a lot of anger. She missed her girlfriend so much, and to die in such an unfortunate circumstance was just so untimely and so brutal. She said to the killer, "I'm not gonna say remember this, because I don't have to. This is on you now. This is like skin. You're taking her with you wherever you go for the rest of your useless life." But I think Vel's deeper anger, and I said this in my full episode breakdown, is with Luthen, because he's the reason they couldn't be together for an entire year. And very similar to Cassian and Bix, Luthen isn't very understanding of the human side of rebellion. He does acknowledge we're not the people we were when we started and things are very desperate, but he doesn't seem to relate to the human need for love, and to protect those you love. As Cassian said, we're not droids, Luthen. But Cinta's death was really sudden. They could have at least waited till the Gorman massacre, have Cinta die fighting the Empire. As Vel even said, she was a warrior. But Tony Gilroy defends the decision. It had to happen the way it did, and this is going to serve as an extra motive for Vel. And as one of the TV spots teases, Vel makes it to Yavin 4, so she might be one of the survivors. And in line with the theme of sacrifice for the rebellion, Cinta's death is going to be the biggest scar on Vel's heart. It's going to be her motivation for everything she does from now on. I love the two characters, and it was really sad to see Cinta die. But for those who think maybe Verda Sethu, the actress, didn't have much time to film, that wasn't the reason. Tony Gilroy said it had to happen in episode 6. Cinta was used as a weapon by the rebellion. She was always on the front line, always in fight to the death mode. Vel is used as a spy, by contrast. And while she too has been in life-threatening situations, Cinta was always the one who did the killing, wielding the blade or the gun. As Verda Sethu says, she's the one who people see in their last moments of life, putting the cause before love. Who knows how many people she's killed? And when you're in that position, time and time again, the probability of you being on the receiving end is a lot higher, but it was a blunt ending nonetheless. And when you talk about different character story arcs and where they need to be mentally, I think Vel had to undergo this before the Gorman massacre begins, because now she has nothing to lose. She's lost the most important thing in her life, and that, as Gilroy words it for many of the rebels, is Vel's flame. It's the event that drives her, that gets rid of that restraint, because now she's going to be more fierce than ever before. Similar to Cassian Andor by the time of Rogue One, and that makes me wonder if we're going to lose Bix. So here's my question. Now that Brasso is gone, and now that Cinta is gone, which of the main characters is going to die next? When you talk about some of the bigger players, like Luthen, Bix, Cyril or Dedra, if any of those are going to die, it's probably going to be in the last arc. I think they're going to be in it till the very end. But what about this upcoming arc, episodes 7, 8 and 9? The most popular theory I've seen is that Wilman Pack is going to die. Some think he's already dead, because he couldn't handle the Rhydonium when he took off his mask. But once again, the trailers have spoiled it. Wilman is very much still alive, and he's going to fight in the Gorman massacre. He could still be next on the kill list, but for now he's very much still around. Something I do wonder about though, did the Rhydonium mess him up a bit? Did it make him lose his mind? Did he go a little bit insane, like Saw Gerrera? If so, then he too is going into the next episode changed, and probably more ruthless, 1 year on. In terms of some of the other candidates, we know Luthen makes it at least to the final arc. He was directed until episode 10, because Stellan Skarsgård said that is the episode where we get flashbacks, and we find out about his past. In terms of Dedra and Cyril, because Krennic and Partagaz have made Dedra swear to not tell her boyfriend anything about what's going on Gorman, the truth about the Death Star stuff, I wonder if inadvertently Dedra is going to be the downfall of Cyril. Is he going to defect? Is he going to feel betrayed by Dedra and maybe actually join the Gorman front? He was pretending to be friends with them, relaying information back to Partagaz and Miro. But what if he finds out the truth and chooses to side with Gorman? Now that would be a twist. As for Luthen, there are a million ways he could go down. He could be double-crossed by Lonnie, by Saw, by Cassian. We simply don't know. But if Bix dies, I can imagine Luthen being the one responsible for it. He might decide that Bix is too much of a distraction, too much of a liability for Cassian and the Greater Axis cell. Considering there is no mention of Bix whatsoever in Rogue One, I can see it being a certainty that she's going to perish. I saw an interesting take on the Bix situation, and they said this: I really hate to say it, but I think it has to be Bix. If she's around in 1 BBY, it would kind of make Jyn Cassian seem a little off, unless for some reason, Cassian and Bix just end up splitting up in the next arc. So yes, Bix is a likely candidate, not just because of the liability thing, but also, fans like this have pointed out the awkward situation in Rogue One when Jyn and Cassian are flirtatious. Out of universe, Bix didn't exist in 2016, so maybe Tony Gilroy didn't know he was going to go back and show Cassian's first girlfriend someone he was very much in love with. But in regards to interpretations that Jyn and Cassian had a love interest just before their deaths on Scarif, it would be better if Cassian had a year or two to process Bix's death. So this is very sound reasoning for the arguments that Bix is going to die in the next set of episodes. Maybe she never sees Yavin, just another person that Cassian has to put behind him. He's been through so much trauma, losing his dad, his mum, Brasso, leaving B2 behind. And I'm also curious as to when we're going to meet K2SO. I think that's got to be in the next arc. What do you guys think? I saw someone suggest that Edie Khan might die, Cyril's mum. I have a feeling she's going to live right till the end. She's such a staple of the show, such a thorn in Cyril's side, but somehow I can't see them killing her off. If I'm wrong, that would be a very strange decision. But returning to Cinta's death, in a brand new interview with Variety.com, Verda Sethu shared her reaction to finding out Cinta's fate, and she said this: Tony Gilroy called me and told me about it before the script arrived. It was a weird reaction to have, but I felt excited. I was very sad, but I thought it was such a brilliant ending. My belief was that Cinta was always going to die in the rebellion, and she knew from season 1 her character wouldn't survive to outlive the rebellion. At first it was so horrific, she said, but I just felt it was so brave and unapologetic. And this is what makes Andor and Rogue One so different from other Star Wars shows and films. It's the stories about the grassroots people, not about the Skywalkers and the main heroes. These are people who have to live their lives and spill blood, laying the groundwork for someone greater to emerge. A very gracious response. So I want to ask you guys, who do you think is going to die next? Who is going to be the next casualty in Andor Season 2? So now on to some other Andor tidbits. Did you know, my dear friends, Sam Witwer had a secret cameo in this most recent arc? As Cassian gets ready to leave Coruscant for Gorman, the voice in his earpiece, telling him about his fashion designer persona, is voiced by Sam Witwer. Take a listen.
Your name is Varian Sky. You moved to the fashion district where you found work as an assistant designer.
Another tidbit you might have missed comes from the first arc. Did you spot the Nemik reference? As Cassian prepares the TIE Avenger breakout, he tells the mechanic, "You made this decision long ago. The Empire cannot win. You will never feel right unless you're doing what you can to stop them. You've become more than you fear." This is an excerpt from Nemik's manifesto. Even though Nemik is dead, his influence can still be felt. Cassian is keeping Nemik alive through his manifesto, and reciting it where relevant. So just a couple of additional fun facts for you guys. What do you think? Share your thoughts on everything we spoke about, and who is the Grim Reaper coming for next? Share your thoughts down below. If you enjoyed this one, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, check me out on socials, and may the Force be with you, always.